Welcome, everybody, to the Friar Talk podcast. Today, we're going to be recapping the Dodgers series. Then after that, we're going to be talking a little bit about Eric Hosmer and our love-hate relationship with him. And then we're also going to preview the Brewers series. But before I get into anything, I want to introduce Borna. Borna, you want to say hi to everyone and kind of introduce your show and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. My name is Borna. I'm again diehard Padre fan like you guys. On YouTube, I'm SoCal Sports Rap. If you guys haven't, check out my channel. And I actually just reached out to these guys at Friar Talk just because I've loved their podcast. I love their content, and we have different minds, different perspective to the game. And I'm happy you guys can just kind of watch us combine everything. So looking forward to doing it.
Yeah, super cool. And if you guys haven't checked out his show, make sure to do that. Definitely structured a little bit differently, probably like some shorter recaps, but it's every day, right? Every game you recap.
Yeah, every game. I do Padres, I do other sports, but for this sake, we'll just stick to the Padres.
Yeah. So let's get into this Dodgers recap. I think before Sunday, it looked pretty bleak after the two losses. Where, if we're being honest, the Padres choked on Friday, choked big time in the 10th and 11th inning, and then Saturday, of course, the Mookie Betts game-winning and diving catch. And for that one, I think you just got to say props to Mookie. He's a hell of a player because that was an excellent play. I was actually watching that game from work, so I kind of have a weird view of the TV, and I thought the ball had already hit the ground. And then right as it's about to I'm about to be like, all right, let's go, and kind of start celebrating, I see Mookie start to lay out, and I was like, oh no, he's definitely going to catch this. If he's laying out, like, this is the one dude that's like a lock to make this catch, and he did it. So props to him. That was, for any Dodger fans listening, that was very, very sweet for you guys. But I'll let you start out, Chase. Just how did you feel about this series, and what are your thoughts moving forward about the Padres?
We hung into the series. Like each game, it felt like, we were pretty sloppy baseball, but we were always right there with the Dodgers. A couple Tatis errors away from probably winning Friday's game, or Tingler's questionable calls and pin. We kind of choked in the 10th and 11th. Can't say much about that. We probably should have brought that guy in to win it, because when you start off with a runner on second, chances are you should bring them in. Saturday's game, it was a pitcher's duel all the way. The bats were just quiet, but even then, we were one run away till like the eighth inning. So that was another close game, and today we just pulled it through. Had everything going for us. The pitching was good. The bats were alive. So if we see more of this type of these Padres today, I think we're in the long term better than the Dodgers.
I'd say it's just about things we can control, and we can control a lot of things that we haven't been so far in this series. I mean, we lead the major leagues in errors defensively. We lead the major leagues in hitting into double plays. Those are two big things that are absolute backbreakers. And when you're right there with the Dodgers, you're right there toe to toe, and you're leading the league in those two horrific categories. It goes to show that you are minor tweaks away from actually being a competitive, and if not, maybe even a better team than this. And I think we learned a lot about player roles in this series, kind of with like Jerickson Profar. He's kind of that igniter. He's that character of our team that kind of people want to rally around, grind it out at bats, even that thing yesterday with Barnes and, the catcher's interference, but the team rallying behind him. It's things like that. And we'll talk about Tommy Pham later, but just kind of breaking that slump he was in today, a horrific slump where, I mean, it wasn't only me, but all of Friar Faithful, we started to turn on him. We were like, do we bring up CJ Abrams and just get Tommy Pham out of town? So it's a lot to digest. And again, we can be mad that we didn't win this series, but I'm trying to look at it with the glass half full. I'm happy we got one game, because we could have won all three, but we definitely could have lost all three as well. And the fact that we actually cashed in with runners in scoring position today was nice to see, because we haven't seen it all year. So nevertheless, great win today, and could have got another one, but can't complain.
I think all in all, we beat ourselves really. That game on Friday was definitely a tough loss. I mean, towards the end, it was getting late. I got kind of tired, so I was like, whatever, someone just win already. But we ultimately beat ourselves. We didn't hit with runners in scoring position. We got a free runner on second. We didn't bring him in. We had all the momentum in our favor, and we didn't take advantage of it. So we were one hit away from winning that ball game on Friday. And with a team like the Dodgers, we let them hang in there for too long. That's too good of a team to let hang in for too long. And then on Saturday, we were a Mookie Betts diving catch away from potentially tying the game. So I guess if you have some positives, it's that we're right there. We're like really, really close to beating the Dodgers. And, I know there's Dodger fans that think we're not a rival or, we're not even close, but clearly we are. We're right there. We're a couple plays away, a couple hits away from winning that series, really, maybe even sweeping the series. Some positive take out of the series. We came out of that series with being first in ERA, 7th in WHIP, 7th in walks, 1st in strikeouts. So the pitching is there. Yu Darvish was phenomenal. Ryan Weathers pitched good. Blake Snell pitched good today. So the pitching is doing really well, and I'm happy to see that the pitching is doing well, and we know that these bats are going to come alive soon, hopefully within the next Dodgers series, and I hope we win that series.
Yeah, I think I like what you guys are saying a lot. One about the role players, Borna, I think that's really important. Bring up a guy like Jerks and Profar. And one of the things that I've kind of realized is this has been frustrating me is why does he not bat first, second, or end of the order? And why do they put him at 5 and 6? That makes no sense to me. His role is to get on base. And we talked about this a lot last year too, because it was like the first month of the season and he was heavily struggling. But for some reason, he would score so many runs because he was hitting 9th so often. He would walk and then Tatis would drive him in. And it was almost like once a game you could count on that happening, even though the dude was hitting under 100 for like a month. So I like that you bring that up. He's one of those guys that I think is either going to flourish at the very top of the lineup where he's going to get on base or at the bottom of the lineup so he can get on base for the guys at the top. I just hope that they keep using him in that role. And then talking about kind of like where we are at, like compared to the Dodgers, I don't understand why it's like such a bad thing to have a rivalry. I don't get that, like the negative connotation to that. I think both Dodgers and Padres fans should be excited for that. Like it's super cool. If you don't feel the energy when the two teams play and like all of just and talk about the effort too, like a guy like Machado, for instance, Dodgers fans always talk about how he doesn't hustle. So what does he do? In the bottom of the 9th, he draws a walk on a very, very nice at bat, then steals second, and then he not steals, but he advances on a pass ball on a hustle play to third, and then he ends up getting driven in. That's what you want to see. That's what you want your stars doing, and I think both of these teams do that. We saw Mookie Betts lay out and have a game-winning catch. Like both of these teams are putting everything on the line, and it is a rivalry. These are the top two teams in the sport, and at least in my opinion, and it's fun. Even if the Dodgers have a slight advantage or are a little bit better right now, it doesn't mean that the Padres don't have a chance or anything like that. And we were talking about, I think it was you, Borna, was saying like at times it seemed like we might have lost all 3 of those games after I think it was the 2nd inning today, and it did. But even if we would have lost those 3 games, you couldn't tell me like, oh, like the Padres aren't in the same league as the Dodgers. You could see it. Like every at bat is so intense and it's so close every time. That series easily could have been a sweep either way. So I just thought it was really fantastic how we got to see that. But I guess kind of we'll wrap up with this recap real quick. But I want each of you guys to pick a guy, and don't pick Eric Hosmer because we're going to talk about him after. But pick a guy that won this series. My guy is going to be Jake Cronenworth just because he's one of those guys that's such an underrated player throughout his career. Today, he obviously had the bomb into right field, but underrated prospect, kind of a lot of questions about him. Is he a pitcher? Is he a hitter? He hits 350 in AAA, and then he gets moved to the Padres. Is he even going to make the roster? He's showing that he can compete at the highest level. And he's like making his way into being an everyday MLB second baseman where he's not limited to only beating up on bad teams, but he can hang in with any team. And I think that's really important. And I think it's hard to kind of realize that with like guys splits, like, say Jake's hitting 320, but every single time he plays a good team, he hits, under 200, means he can't really hang with the big dogs. And I think we've seen that he can. I think that's my biggest winner just on those terms, just because he's proven that he is a MLB starting player in my mind. But Chase, who's your guy?
I'm going to go with Machado. He ran the bases like crazy. He played some really solid defense at third. He had some really nice plays there. He went 3 for 4 today, kind of still showed that he's Bauer's daddy, or what some people say. He owns Bauer, continued to do that today. So, and, he put himself on base and put himself in scoring positions for the Padres yesterday and today. So, he's there for me.
I mentioned Jurickson Profar earlier, but if I'm going to say another person, it's kind of a wild card. I'm going to go with Victor Caratini here, and not because of the bat, but because of you can really see the presence of when pitchers are really comfortable with the person that's receiving the ball. And I mean, whenever he's behind the dish, it's just a different world when our pitchers are throwing the ball versus when Campusano's behind the pitch. You see a lot of cross-ups happening. You see Campusano having some problems framing the ball because obviously we don't have that electronic strike zone yet. And we should talk about the umpires later. I mean, absolutely horrific umpiring this entire series both ways. I mean, the outside strike's been called, but Victor Caratini, because they usually had Campusano catching Blake Snell, but now they made that change today where Victor caught him. And Blake didn't have his best stuff today, but they were able to get out of a lot of jams that it could have blown this game open. And obviously, we know how well Victor works with Yu, and Yu had his best outing of the season. So it goes to show the importance of having a catcher who really is on the same page as pitchers. And I also think we can talk about this in a future podcast. It makes it interesting to see what happens when Nola comes back, because clearly Nola is supposed to be the everyday guy, but if he's not swinging the ball well, he won't be, right? So if he's batting, high 200s, 300s, he's going to be every day. But if Victor has this kind of chemistry with the pitchers, we're in for a platoon or a serious battle for this catcher position.
Well, Matt and Chase took Machado and Cronenworth, but I'm glad you didn't take Profar Borna, because that's going to be my guy. He came up in some really clutch situations, such as I think it was a 5-3 ball game, 2 runners on, and he hits a double down the line and ties up the game. And you saw the energy he brought to our team. Like you said, he's kind of like we always bring up Tatis as like the heart and soul of our team, but Jerickson is kind of like another one of those guys who hypes up our team, who is one of those guys that a catalyst on our team. He's always getting on base. He's hitting really well right now. And I was a big advocate for, bringing him back in the offseason. And man, like, he's absolutely proving Preller right, really, for bringing him back. He's a huge presence on our team, and I definitely think he's going to continue being that way. But I think another one can be Yu Darvish, who, our ace went toe-to-toe with their ace and had a great outing. And we absolutely wanted to see our ace go 7 strong against the Dodgers. And the whole rivalry thing, I just want everyone to know that Clayton Kershaw hasn't talked to Yu Darvish ever since he joined the Dodgers. So, I don't know. You tell me, but it's a rivalry.
Do you mean ever since he joined the Padres?
Yeah, Yu Darvish came out and said, I quote, he has not joined me. He has not talked to me ever since I joined the Padres. But it's a rivalry, so I understand.
And they were buddies beforehand, right?
Yeah, they were catching partners.
It's not like Yu Darvish chose to be on the Padres. He was traded to the Padres. Like, come on, Clayton.
No, for real, that's pretty funny. I didn't know he said that. I just heard that right now. That's hilarious, especially because they've been friends. I know I've heard that in like other sports too. It's like, oh, this quarterback, we used to train together, but now he's in my division. Like, so that's how it is. But that's hilarious. You can feel the rivalry. Like, I don't get that. I really don't understand that. You could totally feel the rivalry. So nobody brought up Tommy Pham as their winner of the series. He finally got a big hit. I don't know if that constitutes winning. He's been heavily struggling, though. I will admit he has been really unlucky. Also, I don't know if you know this, Borna, but I think it was before this series, Tommy Pham was the most unlucky player in the MLB in terms of slugging percentage. And then he, of course, the way he gets out in the bottom of the 9th on Saturday is a diving catch, which it just shows like, oh, yep, he is very unlucky. So hopefully he's able to turn it around. But I think overall, I think I don't think that we should be upset about losing the series. It's April. If you're going to lose a series in April. Don't lose a series in October. Also, we haven't mentioned this yet, but Fernando Tatis heavily struggled. And if he's in full health and condition and everything like that, and he's ready to go, he's like, his timing's good because he just looks off right now. He really does. I don't know if it's the injury. I don't know what it is, but he definitely looks off. He looks very frustrated. If he's the typical Fernando Tatis Jr. in a series against the Dodgers and everybody else plays their part like they did in this series, it's going to look a lot different if the guy hitting 2 and 3 is actually hitting from the 2 and 3 position and actually bringing guys in. Because if Fernando's on and you give him a chance in the bottom of the 11th or the 10th, I forget which inning it was, with bases loaded, 2 outs in the playoffs, I will sign up for that and I'll take that every single time. So not too concerned about losing the series, but I think overall it just showed like how exciting the series is going to be. And honestly, how lucky everyone is of both Padres and Dodgers fans being fans of these two teams, watching them go at it for hopefully years to come. Like, I get that. I think that all Padres fans have. I mean, at least we should have some respect for how good the Dodgers organization has been and just how they've developed players and whatnot. But for Dodgers fans too, like the Padres are legit. I think. I mean, I definitely feel that way. I think we all do. Like their organization that Preller's put around them. Like both of these teams have a chance to just be competing in and out year after year for like 5 years to come, maybe longer. But I think it's a really exciting time, and I hope that everyone accepts the rivalry and kind of is like, all right, this is cool that we get to experience this. But that's gonna do it for this Dodgers series recap.